Thank you so much for joining us on another edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa. My name is Nick Pachuski.
And I'm Andrew Miller.
Of course, we're the podcast that talks to the people, places, and events that make this city the incredible city that it is. And before we get to our very special guest this week, Mr. Bruce Lazenby, why don't we check this out?
Hi, my name's Gareth, a.k.a. Jack Pine of Jack Pine and the Fire. The gents at Lunch Out Loud are going to play you some of our tunes from our debut album, and we do hope that you love it. If you do, check us out online at www.jackpinefire.com or come out and see us live. We're playing this Friday night at the Horticulture Building at Lansdowne Park. We start at 9:30. We're also playing this coming Wednesday at a brand new showcase event in Ottawa called Megaphono. It's a really exciting event, and you should definitely check us out. We play Wednesday at 4:15, and we hope to see you there. Hope you love the music. Keep it real, y'all.
When I open up my cave, you see my silver shining bright. But if it's closed, just watch the bronze as it drips down from my eyes. I got that gold, bronze, and silver. Dig down deep as you might. Ain't gonna find it in a mine or a mountain scraping skies.
Thank you so much, Jack Pine and the Fire. So, like they said, there's two shows that they're playing this weekend. Sax in the City, so that's something new that's going on in the city, which is going to be a lot of fun. It's Friday, Saturday night, and it's at the Horticulture Building at Lansdowne, the new Lansdowne. So it's basically the kickoff for Winterlude. But there's amazing local acts for free going on from 7 to midnight. So Friday, you'll see Jack Pine and the Fire playing. And on Saturday night, there's awesome bands like Golden Marrow, but also Soul Jazz Orchestra, who only, 4 months ago were playing at Jazz Fest for $20 at the same night. So
it's pretty good. You can't beat free.
You can't beat free. So get down there. There's going to be sculptures. You'll be able to see the new light rail. Light rail, I guess.
Skate right up to it and then kick your skates off and enjoy some music.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. They're also going to be playing at Megaphono next week, which is kind of like the new kid on the festival block. So Megaphono basically is a group that did studies of the local music scene in Ottawa last year, and they found that there really needed to be a bridge in the gap, the knowledge gap between local artists and the music industry. So if you see like all the things going on at South by Southwest, North by Northeast, different festivals around the world, it's like the bands are not as good as the bands in Ottawa, but I guess they have better options on how to do it. So I guess next week from February 3rd to 5th, there's going to be many concerts around the city, as well as discussions where the artists will be discussing how we can do things better, how they can talk to industry professionals a lot easier. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So go to megaphono.tv and check out what's going on next week. If you're not doing anything, like support the music in this city. All right, so that sounded like a little advertisement. It's a lot, but those are two awesome events going on that I want more people to know about it. So anyways, thank you so much for being on the show today, Bruce.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
Glad to be here. When you think Ottawa, it's in the past 3 years since you started, people are starting to think entrepreneurship when they think Ottawa, instead of just a boring government town. So that is an incredible thing.
Yeah, no, it is, and there's we've often talked about sort of living in the shadow of the Peace Tower.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people are saying, "To heck with that." We've always had a dynamic entrepreneurial community here, and it's time to get out and start showing it. In fact, in 2012, the very first year, we celebrated Global Entrepreneurship Week. So that's something by the Hoffman Foundation out of New York. 360 global cities compete to demonstrate who's got the best entrepreneurial spirit during a specific week every year in November. And the first year we did it, we were number 1 in Canada, number 5 in the world.
Wow, that's fantastic.
We had over 40 events in the space of 1 week. The next year we did it, we had 75 events in that week, and this year when we did it, we had 89 events in 1 week. And we came in number 2 just behind Vancouver, the Dirty Dogs, but they're a lot bigger. They're a lot bigger than we are.
And
so
we'll beat them next year.
They don't have the weather to compete with
I know.
to set their mind off a little bit.
Exactly
That's
right,
all.
yeah.
And we love talking entrepreneurship on the show. I just saw Brandon from Tattoo Hero was in the lobby out there, so that's great. Ryan from VidRack, who operates out of the Invest Ottawa. So we're at the 99 Aberdeen, 80 Aberdeen, and soon to be the Innovation Center. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah. When's due date for expected due date for the
we're planning
Innovation
on
Center?
moving in the fall of 2016, so it's still a ways away.
Good.
But they've just issued the RFP for the construction, so we're going to be getting bids in and shovels in the ground, and we should see,
that's good.
Should see things starting to happen there in the next 6 months.
Wonderful. But what about yourself? What brought you to Ottawa? Were you born and raised here? Did you just come here out of a whim? Or
I'm a classic case. I'm ex-military. I spent 20 years, and in 20 years I had 33 address changes. I lived and/or worked in every province in the country. I lived in the Arctic. I lived in the Middle East with the United Nations for a year. Spent 3 years at sea. So really had a chance to see a lot of all of Canada and a good part of the world.
Yeah.
And when I got to Ottawa, I just fell in love with the place.
Come on.
And the military said, at one point they said, congratulations, you're promoted and you're going to take over base supply in Halifax. And I said, I don't think so, guys. I'm not moving. And so I left and ended up taking a few jobs, then got recruited by a technology company that was Free Balance, and I spent a lot of time there. Ended up being their CEO, taking them global and refocusing the company. And since then, it just hasn't been looking back, one thing or another, and this a dynamic town with some fantastic folks, and I'm loving it.
So a lot of people would not necessarily think that being in the military is very entrepreneurial. So hearing that you can come from that background basically says anybody can do anything.
Well,
but how do you come from government into such an entrepreneurial role?
So the government and the military are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because in the military, they throw you into entrepreneurial situations all the time. They'll kick you up the back of a truck in the middle of nowhere and say you got 3 days to get yourself home. Figure it out.
Yeah.
That's right. Or here's a bunch of stuff. Get you and your platoon across that river, and you got to figure out how to build a bridge. I mean, that's the nature of warfare, right? So we were trained a lot on how to figure out complex situations. And the great part was, frankly, and I'm putting a pitch in for the military here, they would always put you into situations where you didn't think you could make it, and when you did, your confidence built every time.
Yeah.
I was 21 years old as a fighter pilot, for heaven's sakes, flying jets at 400 miles an hour. I never thought I could do that at 21. So you just go from there and you build confidence, and away you go. So it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. How do you feel that? I guess besides that, how do you feel the military background, touring around, has helped you in your success right now?
Yeah, well, one thing I'll tell any entrepreneur is travel, because you always see things you would never imagine. You see ways of doing things that you couldn't have comprehended, and so or ever dreamt up.
Put in situations that you never thought.
And put in situations. I mean, I remember the first time I was in Africa. I got off the plane, an outdoor airstrip, and I went over to what looked like the customs shack, and it really was a bamboo kind of held together shack. And I saw the guy at customs, and he gave me my passport, and he said, "Where's your yellow fever certificate?" I said, "It's in my suitcase." He said, "Where's your suitcase?" And I said, "Right there beside you." And I said, and I reached for it, and he slapped my hand, and he said, "Only my friends can get to that suitcase." And I'm thinking, I'm not sure I understand. And then I realized that
how much is it going to cost to be your friend?
How much does it cost to be your friend? And the only currency I had on me was a 20-pound note, British note, which was like $50.
Yeah.
And so from then on, I carried a whole lot of American $1 bills.
I was going to say you probably could have bought a lot of friends.
That was a really expensive thing. Yeah.
But you
learn all those situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you learn that it's going to be bad now, but there's always ways out of it. There's going to be a way out of it, and entrepreneurs, that's such a key thing.
Yeah. When you're in the middle of nowhere and you lose your passport or your credit card's not working or whatever, you got to figure it out, right? And you will. And you gain, every time you do that, you gain confidence. And that's what so much of being an entrepreneur is about, is being creative and having confidence that you can succeed.
So we're here at the Invest Ottawa. What would you say your role is now? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis here at Invest Ottawa?
Yeah, so we do 4 things here. We promote entrepreneurship as a career choice. And frankly, in Ottawa, that's important because a lot of supper tables, it's director general mom and director dad with little Bobby. And if little Bobby thinks he wants to start a business, mom and dad can often start by explaining the concept of a defined benefit pension plan, right? And so we want to get to little Bobby and give him a path to entrepreneurship. Second thing we do is we help startups start up. So you talked about VidRack and Tattoo Hero and those kinds of things. We basically sit down with those guys and say, we think you need this, this, and this. What else do you need? And then we provide them access to markets. We provide them whatever we can, whatever it is that they need. In some cases, it's just space. They can come here and hang out. And the nice thing about a place to hang out is you meet all kinds of different people.
That's right.
One of my favorite stories here is the Bid Access story. So this was Mo and Ryan and Abib, who were each working on separate companies, and they met each other here and went out for supper one night, and they started talking about Bitcoin. And they all really had a passion for Bitcoin, the three of them. So they came back in and they said to us, you know what, our old ideas were shit. We've got a really good idea to do something with Bitcoin. So they dumped their old companies, reformed a company, and now they're one of the largest Bitcoin providers of ATMs in the world.
Wow.
And we helped them get into Y Combinator in California. They went down and just killed it down there. Now they got staff there, staff here, and they're growing like crazy. So those kinds of things can't happen unless you bump into entrepreneurs. Yeah. So one of the things we really try and do here is promote those collisions. Come here, you'll bump into somebody. You guys just observed on the way in that it's kind of like Main Street downstairs.
Yeah, it was phenomenal, the amount of traffic coming through.
And it can
for all different types of things,
exactly.
Too. Yeah.
It can be investors, it can be buyers, it can be other entrepreneurs, it can be big companies, small companies, who knows, students. So, it's a great place to just bump into people who have one thing in common, right? They've all got this desire and passion for entrepreneurship and building great companies. But what a lot of people don't know as well is that we actually help these companies grow overseas. So we've got a sales team focused on each one of the major sectors that we touch on: life sciences, clean tech, software, communications technology, digital media, and film and TV. And if you want to get into China market, we can help you do that. We got people that can show you that way. The fourth thing we do is we attract foreign direct investment. So we talk to foreign companies, like Centronic is a good example. It's a Swedish company. We were talking to them. They wanted to have a presence in the Eastern time zone because they're a global company. And we said, look, why don't you set up here in Ottawa? So the managing director came over. We said, bring your wife. And while we introduced him to a bunch of people that could be future employees, and he was blown away with the talent pool here. These are great, that are affordable. This is fantastic. Meanwhile, we're showing properties to his wife. His son was a AAA hockey player, so we're introducing his wife to AAA hockey teams. And at the end of a week, they're thinking, this is great, we're going to do this. So they showed up here in June. They cut the ribbon in November. They've already hired 30 people. They're going to hire another 30 people next year, and they're on their way to 150.
Wow.
So we can do that all day long. You do that 10 times. Now you're talking 1,500 employees. 1,500 employees is what? 700 houses, more restaurants, more construction, more car dealerships, more everything. It just builds the whole economy.
And this is continuing on and on, and this is basically your day to day. You're still meeting these companies. And
when we look at any opportunity, we look at it through the filter of jobs. Is there good jobs in here somewhere?
Yeah.
Right? And if we can see somebody who's got some idea that's going to create employment, we jump on that and do whatever we can to help.
Wow,
that's amazing.
And how many employees would you say that you have? Are they consultants? Do they work on a case-by-case basis, or are they full-time employees?
We've got, we're entrepreneurial too. So we've got employees, we've got subcontractors, we've got volunteers. Last time I looked, we have 91 mentors. These are serial entrepreneurs that have been successful themselves, bought and sold companies, maybe in their 50s and 60s, who don't want to quit, but they don't want to work 60 hours a week anymore. So we connect with them, and they sit down and they'll talk to companies who need some help. They do that on a volunteer basis. We've got entrepreneurs in residence who we pay a day or two a week, and they usually give us another day or two for free because they're so passionate about it. And they'll sit down and work with companies, help design business plans, make connections, and then it's basically anybody who can do anything to help out is in there helping out. I mean, it's the one thing that I've really seen happen in this city in the last couple of years is this two things, I think. One is this idea of thinking big, and the other idea is collaboration. Sort of pay it forward.
We're seeing that in all sectors in this city.
I agree. And I think guys like Toby and Harley at Shopify are kind of leading that initiative. They're thinking big. They're doing it here. LeBreton Flats, finally we're going to see something down there. Lansdowne Park.